and then we'll provide mics now on too, so that's great. Okay, so welcome everybody to tonight's joint meeting with the Conservation Commission and the Select Board. I will start reading the script for these meetings. So public participation guidelines, we are using Zoom for this meeting, which allows for the public to participate in the meeting as an attendee. The chair can request that the members of the public provide their names for purposes of keeping accurate minutes of the meeting. Attendees must register to participate. The registration link is unique to the meeting. The registration link can be found in the description of the Nantucket Government TV YouTube live feed for the meeting. Attendees will join in listening mode, and they can click the raise their hand button if they wish to speak. The chair will call on those who have raised their hands in the order they were raised. All questions should be directed through the chair. So as a preliminary matter, this is Ashley Arisman, Chair of the Nantucket Conservation Commission. Permit me to confirm that all members and persons anticipated on the agenda are present and can hear me. Members, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Mark Beal.
Here.
Arisman here. Mike Mizzarelli. Mike, we couldn't hear you. Can you unmute just so I know we can hear you? Well, I'll go ahead. Joe Plandowski.
Here.
Linda Williams.
Here.
Ian Golding, can you hear us?
I think
Ian?
He's
still having technical difficulties. Mike, can you hear us?
I can, thank you.
Okay. Staff, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Jeff Carlson.
Here.
Anticipated speakers on the agenda, please respond in the affirmative. I'm not sure if I should go through the select board list or if Jason, you'll go through your own list. So maybe I'll leave that to you. So good afternoon. This open meeting of the Nantucket Conservation Commission is being conducted remotely pursuant to Chapter 2 of the Acts of 2023. Ensuring public access does not ensure public participation unless such participation is required by law. This meeting may feature public comment. Quite honestly, I'm not sure exactly how this will go. For this meeting, the Nantucket Conservation Commission is convening by video conference via Zoom app as posted on the town's website, identifying how the public may join. Please note that this meeting is being recorded and that all attendees are participating by video conference. Accordingly, please be aware that other folks may be able to see you and to take care not to screen share your computer. Anything that you broadcast may be captured by the recording. All supporting materials that have been provided members of this body are available on the town's website unless otherwise noted. The public is encouraged to follow along using the posted agenda unless I note otherwise. We are now turning to the first item on the agenda. Before we do so, permit me to cover some ground rules for the effective and clear conduct of our business and to ensure accurate meeting minutes. I will introduce each speaker on the agenda. After they conclude their remarks, the chair will go down the line of members, inviting each by name to provide any comments, questions, or motions. Please hold until your name is called. Further, please remember to mute your phone or your computer when you are not speaking. Please remember to speak clearly and in a way that helps generate accurate minutes. For any response, please wait until the chair yields the floor to you and state your name before speaking. If members wish to engage in conversation with other members, please do so through the chair, taking care to identify yourself. And for items with public comment, after members have spoken, the chair will afford public comment to those members of the public that have joined the meeting via Zoom. Members of the public who wish to speak must state their names and be acknowledged by and speak through the chair. And finally, each vote in this meeting will be conducted by roll call vote. So the Conservation Commission is now open, or the meeting is open. And Jason, I'll turn it over to you to begin the select board.
Call select board meeting to order. Make sure everyone is here and they can hear me. A roll call, Brooke Moore.
I'm here.
Hi, Brooke. Matt P.
Here.
Don, Phil Holgate. Can see Dawn. Well, she's figuring it out. she must be coming back. So we have a quorum. I do not see, oh, Mr. McNabb, he's coming on here. Hold on one second. Hey there, Malcolm, can you hear me?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, thank you,
Sorry,
Malcolm.
I'm a little late, but I had to rush.
Thank you. All right, so we have a quorum. When Dawn comes back in, she'll announce herself for, hey, Dawn, can you hear us?
Yes, sorry about that.
Okay, thank you. And then, for town staff, we have Janelle Austin from KP Law. Can you hear us, Janelle?
I can, thank you very much.
Okay. And then Libby Gibson, the town manager.
Here.
I think we're ready to go. Libby or Janelle, are you starting us off?
I think
can-
Janelle is-
Thank you. Thank you to both public bodies this afternoon. We're here to discuss an open meeting law complaint that was filed against the Select Board and the Conservation Commission relative to a meeting that occurred about a month ago. At this meeting, the public bodies, and I'll say that, collectively, will acknowledge receipt of the open meeting law complaint filed, and I believe all of you have received a copy of that complaint. It's been circulated. You will discuss the allegations of the complaint. You will discuss the joint response. As you know, a draft response, a proposed draft response has been prepared by town council. Certainly any comments or deliberations by the public body can be reviewed at this meeting, and any questions or information that needs to be gathered in order to facilitate a response. Following the review of the complaint and the public body's response of the open meeting law complaint, I would ask that the public bodies authorize town council to finalize that response and take a vote to do so, consistent with any deliberations or comments this afternoon. After we have a final response in place and authorization to file that, a copy will go to the complainant, as well as to the Division of Open Government at the Attorney General's office. It will be filed both there and with the complainant as well. So I'm happy to answer any specific questions that anyone has this afternoon, but that's the process that we'll be undertaking this afternoon.
Thank you, Janelle. You said first off, we're going to review the complaint, or are you taking us through that? How do we do?
That's correct. I can review the allegations generally if everyone would like. Essentially, there was a complaint filed by the complainant on April 8th, 2023. It specifically relates to a joint meeting that occurred on March 21st. The Division of Open Government has granted an extension of time for the public bodies to respond to the complaint, given its other municipal responsibilities at this busy time of the year. The copy of the complaint has been provided, as I mentioned, and essentially in the complainant alleges that the meeting notice didn't have the requisite specificity. These are the allegations of the complaint as required by the open meeting law, and that it wasn't sufficiently specific to alert members of the public as to what was going to occur. In addition, there's an allegation that the meeting was not accessible based on the formatting of the meeting itself. In my opinion, the meeting notice was sufficiently specific, and a response has been provided for the public body's review relative to that allegation. In the open meeting law does not require that meeting notices contain every detail of what has to occur at a meeting, but it's to put members of the public on notice as to the nature of the discussion itself. I've included in the proposed response the meeting notices by both public bodies for the Division of Open Government's review and the complainant's review. In addition, it's my understanding that the meeting was held in person, thereby members of the public were able to observe the proceedings in real time and had access to the meeting in person. I did also review the recording of the meeting and understand that there were different camera angles presented and different speaker profiles, so to speak, based on that. In my opinion, a meeting does not need to be recorded under the open meeting law, and that the access, the alternative virtual access, was done as a courtesy essentially because the meeting was held in person. The response has been drafted accordingly, and it is before the members this afternoon for their review.
Thank you, Janelle. Ashley, do you or anybody here have any questions or comments for Janelle on that?
I don't have any questions. I'm not sure if any conservation commissioners have questions at this point. It doesn't look like it.
I have none.
None from the select board.
Very, very clear, concise response and presentation.
Thank you.
Okay, Janelle, so we reviewed the complaint, and then what was the next step before, I mean, the last step is to authorize your response.
That's correct. I would ask, following review of the allegations of the complaint that we just reviewed, and the public bodies have a copy of that. If there are no further questions or comments, it's my understanding that the members have had an opportunity to review that draft response. I'm happy to hear any comments or feedback on that to incorporate. And then I would be looking for a vote following that review to authorize town council to finalize and file that.
Okay, Ashley, are we ready to go to a vote to authorize it?
I mean, I think so. If there aren't any questions or comments from conservation commissioners, I'm not seeing any. I know, Janelle, I appreciate your concise draft for us, although it does look like we have a question from the public.
Sure. You're muted.
Mary, you're muted.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. I want to, first of all, I'm truly sorry that you
Can you
are.
please state your
the-
name? Can you state your
I'm
name
sorry.
for the record?
My name is Mary Warrow. I'm the complainant. I live at 3 Eat Fire Springs Road on Nantucket. I'm sorry that you are required to conduct this an additional joint meeting to respond to my complaint. I think my complaint is well-founded. Should you issue the response that town council has prepared for you, I will continue to pursue the issue, particularly with respect to the sufficiency of the notice. I think that anyone listening in to that meeting would agree that the way the meeting was conducted deprived the public of the opportunity to hear and to understand what each and every member of that of your committee and your board was thinking and considering and viewing with respect to the topics that were under consideration, which were the 3 scenarios. There's no reason why those scenarios could not have been placed in the notice as they should have been. I did respond. I want to make sure that you, before you vote on this, that you received my response to Janelle Austin's proposed draft. With respect to the conduct of the meeting, it was simply incomprehensible. And I think every single person that I have spoken to as a member of the public has indicated, yes, we couldn't hear what was said. There was crosstalk. People were on their screens. We have no idea what was being said in these private conversations. The way you opened this meeting was absolutely perfectly consistent with the open meeting law. And the way this meeting is being conducted is absolutely, so far, perfectly consistent with the open meeting law. That's not how the March 21st meeting was conducted. And I observed that at that meeting, there was much talk about how flexibility with respect to the conduct of these kinds of discussions was very beneficial. And I absolutely agree with that. But in Massachusetts, in this Commonwealth, we have an overriding concern that the public gets to see the sausage being made. And we didn't have a bird's eye view into that at all as members of the public. It
Mary, can
was-
I ask everybody if did everybody receive her response from Janelle's response? Did everybody receive that? Because if they did, then they read this and they read your complaint. Did anybody not receive it?
I did not.
I did not.
No, I don't.
Can
Well,
we make
if
sure
you
we get
didn't-
that?
If you didn't receive it, then I suggest that you take an opportunity to review it before you take your vote. But in summary, what I'm asking you to do now is to have a policy to direct town council to provide the board and the town with a short, concise policy on the conduct of the types of meeting that you wanted to conduct on March 21st. I think that was a valuable process, a valuable goal, but it wasn't conducted in accordance with the open meeting law. I do notice, and I said in my response, that the follow-on meeting that was conducted, I think on April 11th or 12th, was largely free of the defects of the meeting of March 21st. And I suspect that after my complaint was filed, people rethought the way the meeting should be conducted, and many of the issues that I have and that other people had were cured. So if you want to conduct these meetings, if you want to make this type of process available, and it is a valuable one, town council you have one of the most preeminent municipal law firms in the Commonwealth. It may well be that you can ask them to do this under their retainer agreement without paying any extra additional attorney's fees.
Thank you, Mary. Can you wrap up, please?
Sure, I'll take about 30 seconds more. Please direct town council to furnish you with a policy. And also extremely important, that meeting was really conducted by a third-party contractor. You, as members of boards and commissions, you're required to take training in the open meeting law. The people who conducted that meeting did not know how to conduct an open meeting in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. And once you have your policy, it should be required that anytime a third party is conducting a meeting that's covered by the open meeting law, that third party is aware of and follows the guidelines that town council suggests to you. And that's the bottom line of what I'm thinking.
Thank you, Mary. I think those are good suggestions for policy, because we don't do those type of meetings a lot, so we have some good policy. I'd like to go to select board members. Matt has his hand up, or Conservation Commission members. Matt?
Yeah, no, I would like to say, I agree with some of the points Mary made, but I do think the consensus building, I'm a big fan of consensus building in that manner. It was some of the best things we did back in the comp plan days. And the intent of it the other day was a positive intent. And I think it was the first time we've ever done it with Zoom, with people sitting at home wanting to see it. I think, unfortunately, Zoom isn't going to give you the nuance of that meeting. I think people have to be present and be in the room to get the feeling that you'd like to get, Mary. So, my question, and a policy is great, but I don't want to preclude us from using that technique, especially on key issues at times. And so I think maybe the policy should consider whether Zoom is available or not when it is implemented. I think we should encourage people to be present if we're doing that type of meeting. I think it's, I don't want to stop doing them. I think they're really important at times. We need to do them even more often. When we do the master planning, it should be done with, breakout groups and trying to find consensus. You can't do it one by one in front of a camera. And so I think that, when we do this policy, let's think about those types of things, please. Thank you.
Janelle, do you have any comments on that? From what Matt said?
Sure, thank you. So the open meeting law does allow any public body to operate entirely in person or in a hybrid format or entirely remotely, as we are here today, this afternoon. This meeting, it's my understanding, was held in person to allow members of the public to observe the proceedings in real time. And that certainly was posted on the meeting notice to allow in an accessible location members of the public to come and observe. And there was a virtual option as well to promote and enhance government transparency on behalf of the town proceedings. So I would note that all of those options are currently allowed for the next couple of years under the open meeting law COVID extension. So I would just respond to that accordingly. Thank you.
Thank you, Janelle. Linda?
I just read Mary's response and doesn't change my opinion that we did not violate the open meeting law.
Thank you, Linda. Sorry, Ashley, I was calling on Conservation Commission. I just saw a hand up. Anyone else, any select board members, before I go back to Mary? Joe?
I just read it also, and it's not changing my mind.
Anyone else? Yeah, Mary, go ahead. We'll go back to you and then we'll try to, I think if we're ready for a vote on authorization. Go ahead, Mary.
I just want to say I agree with Matt's take on this. I would note that there was one person who attended as a member of the public the meeting of March 21st. And also I would note that while the Zoom meetings are extremely beneficial, they're very valuable to achieve what your board in your town has constantly said repeatedly, that you want transparency, you want as much public understanding and participation in what's going on. There would have been in much more of that had two things happened. One, the three scenarios had been in the notice, and two, there had been better control of what happened at that Zoom meeting. The April 11th or 12th meeting was also a Zoom meeting, and that was conducted in a way that I think was fully in compliance with the open meeting law. The March 21st meeting was not. And I think that a policy, understanding the points that Matt made, is that it makes sense. It makes perfect sense, regardless of what your response is to my complaint. You really, if you're going to have these workshop type meetings, and you're going to engage other third parties who are not as familiar as you as members and chairs of these commissions, you need to make sure that they're done properly.
Thank you, Mary. You have written that and said that a couple different times. We completely get it. Just like my quick thoughts, I would hate for us to not do those type of meetings on Zoom. So I'd love for us to find a way to do it on Zooms. I thought that was one of the best meetings we've had. Matt, you always talk about the big comprehensive meetings you've done. Brooke, you talk about what was that one meeting you went to? It wasn't, I think it was with Arcadis. It was, the consensus building, really good. So we can find ways to satisfy everyone, even if we don't have to open meeting law. Technically, that doesn't mean we shouldn't. So I think come up with some different policies on how to do it right, so everybody can hear us. I think is worth. Are we ready for a vote?
Jason, may I?
Yeah.
It's Dawn. Sorry, I'm driving, so everything is shut
Okay.
down for safe driving. But I just wanted to say I don't believe that we violated the open meeting law in this case, but I do think that some valid points were made and taken in, and we can rectify that in any future workshops like this.
Thank you, Don. Mr. Beal, then Ian.
I'm ready for a vote. I'll make a motion.
Oh, sorry, I got Mark and Ian have their hand up real quick. Can we go to them first before you make the motion?
Yes.
Okay, Mark.
Oh, thank you, Jason. No, I've read Mary's response and read the complaint and read Janelle's letter. And I think I'm ready to proceed with the letter that Janelle is recommending we do.
Okay. Ian? Can you hear us?
Thank you, Jason. Hi. Unfortunately, I missed the first 18 minutes, so I didn't listen to what Janelle had to say, but my predilection was to agree with my fellow commissioners on this. But Mary, I think everybody's taken your point from what I can gather, so.
Yep. Linda, then Ashley, if there's checking with you. You want to do?
Having been through open meeting law complaints, having filed them myself against my own boards in the past, is there, I didn't really pull it out of town council's letter. Is there, one of the things about an open meeting law violation is that, do you acknowledge it? You yay or nay it, but there is a section where you have to do corrective action. Is that part of the town council's letter, or is that something we have to acknowledge and in the future we'll take corrective action? Or Janelle, what is, through you, Madam Chair, Janelle, what is your opinion about that part of it?
Through the chair. The draft as the relief sought in the complaint itself, in my opinion, falls outside of the jurisdiction of the open meeting law with respect to implementing, policies relative to, sort of the manner in which public bodies meet, so to speak. The draft as written and as before the public bodies this afternoon considers, in light of the review of the allegation, that no further relief would be warranted in this circumstance. Obviously, it's for all of you to decide, but that is the proposal as in the draft that has been supplied to the town.
All right, so no corrective action is part of that vote.
That is correct.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Janelle. Don, you want to make that vote?
Yeah,
Ashley, is that okay?
Yeah, I do see Deanne Atherton's hand up.
I do. If I wasn't going to allow anybody else to speak except Ms. Warrow, because then it'll.
Nope, that's
we wanna
fine.
hear-
Yep.
We want to hear from her. Don?
I would like to make a motion to proceed with what town council has laid out, but with the recognition that we can come up with ways to better serve the public based on the comments.
Okay, so that's a vote for the select board, right? We have to do this separately. Is there a second for select board?
Second.
Okay, any discussion? All those in favor by roll call? Brooke,
Aye.
Dawn,
Aye.
Matt,
Aye.
Malcolm,
Aye.
and Jason, I. That passes unanimously 5-0. Ashley?
Is there a motion from the Conservation Commission?
I'll make the same motion that Dawn made for our group as well.
Okay, Mike, are you seconding that motion or do you have a question?
No, I'm seconding the motion. Thank you.
Okay, so motion made by Linda, seconded by Mike. So by roll vote, Beal,
Aye.
Arisman, I, Golding,
Aye.
Landowski,
Aye.
Mazzarelli. Oh, we couldn't hear you, Mike.
There you go. Thumbs up.
Yeah, I can see your thumbs up. Williams.
Aye.
So that carries unanimously.
Janelle, anything else we need to review, talk about?
No, that's it. It
Okay.
would just be a motion to authorize the responses drafted by town council with that additional language in terms of the recognition. And then I'll take care of filing it with the complainant and the Division of Open Government.
Okay. Matt?
Yeah, just it might be as simple as putting, one of the things for correction is putting workshop possibly on, on when we post it, making it a little bit clearer that it's slightly different than a normal meeting. So that's just a suggestion. It's nothing we have to do about it now, but I didn't want to lose it when that thought was out there. Thank you.
Thanks, Matt. Anything else from anyone? Any motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor by roll call, Brooke,
Aye.
Dawn,
Aye.
Matt,
Aye.
Malcolm? Malcolm, can you?
I'm sorry.
Motion. Okay. And I'm an aye. That's unanimous 5-0.
Is there a motion to adjourn from the Conservation Commission?
So
Motion,
moved.
motion made by Mark, seconded by Ian. So by roll vote, Beal,
Aye.
Harrisman, I, Golding,
Aye.
Zarelli,
Aye.
Landowski,
Aye.
Williams.
I.
All right, that carries unanimously.
Thank you, Janelle. Thank you, Ms. Guerrero. Thank you, everyone. Good discussion.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Have a great day.
Thank you.